Thank you, Council. We resume proceedings. There's going to be a room.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Commissioners, I call Omar Pindau.
I can call my
Mr. Ndau is sitting right there. Can you check what happened?
Hello. How are you? Fine, thanks. Say Quran. You can read after me, sir. I swear by the Almighty Allah.
I swear by the Almighty Allah
That the evidence which I shall give to this commission.
that the evidence that I will give to this commission
Shall be the truth.
shall be the truth,
The whole truth.
the whole truth,
And nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me Allah.
So help me Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
You can wait for further instructions, sir.
Could you state your names, please? Could you state your name, please?
My name is Omar Ndao.
I've seen in documents, Omar P. Ndau in documents. Is that you?
Yes, that's me.
What does the P stand for?
P stands for Pate.
Omar Pate Ndau.
Exactly.
Where do you live?
I live at Latikunda at the KMC.
What work do you do, Mr. Ndau?
Well, I'm a private person at the moment.
Did you work for Gamtel?
I'm not working for Gamtel.
Did you work for them?
Yes.
In what capacity?
Well, I served in various capacity in Gamtel.
Okay.
As I served as executive chairman, managing director, and director, and then deputy directors.
All right. Please take a seat.
Thank you.
What was your last position in Gamtel?
I left Gamtel as executive chairman.
Executive chairman.
Yes.
In what function were you responsible for?
I was appointed executive chairman responsible for the technical operations of the company. and the financial operation and strategic management was.
Technical operation and what?
That was all.
Technical
Executive
operation.
chairman and technical, and to oversee the technical operation of the company.
You were also chairman of the board of directors.
Exactly.
So when did you leave Gamtel?
Well, 17th September 2009.
Okay. Could you give us a brief rundown on your career in Gamtel?
Well, I started in Gamtel in 1984 when it was established. But I was in the telecom sector well before that. That was way back 1971. And then when Gamtel was established in 1984, I was a senior engineer. And then in 88, I became the Earth Station manager.
The Earth Station manager?
Yes, at Abuko. I took over from the experts that were there. And by 89-90, I was appointed Deputy Director of Technical Services. And in 94, I was appointed Acting Managing Director and then confirmed Managing Director in 95. And when my boss was reinstated, I was designated.
Sorry, you said in 94 you were acting MD and confirmed when?
Confirmed 95.
95.
As Managing Director of Gamtel. And in 96, when my boss was reinstated, I was redesignated Director of Technical Corporation.
What do you mean by your boss was reinstated? Who was your boss?
That was Bakar Njai.
So he was MD in 94?
Yes.
And he was removed?
Yes, 94.
And you became acting MD?
Yes.
And then he was reinstated in 1996? 1996.
Yes.
You were designated?
As Director of Technical Corporation.
Okay. Okay.
And then I served in that capacity until 2001, 2002. I was transferred to the Department of Multimedia Services as Director of Multimedia Services.
Multimedia?
Yes.
What does that mean, multimedia services?
Well, it's responsible for all the data transmission in the company vis-a-vis the internet services.
Okay, that's 2002.
Yes, that's 2002. And then 2003, I was recalled again to the position of Managing Director, Gamtel.
Who did you take over from?
From Abumbu.
Abdou Touré?
Abdurrahman Boub.
Abdurrahman Boub?
Yes.
Okay.
And I served in that capacity until 2006, when I was terminated. And then detained for 6 months.
Did you say detained?
Yes.
Okay.
Under detention at the NIA, and then demised to prison for 3 months. After I was charged at the High Court, and I went to the High Court, and then the matter was transferred to the Magistrate Court, where I finally was vindicated.
What do you mean by vindicated? You were acquitted?
I was acquitted
and discharged. What were you charged for?
Well, I was charged for economic crime. and that means I gave a contract to a Chinese company, Huawei.
Huawei?
Yes, Huawei, without the approval of government, without the approval of the Gambia Public Procurement Agency.
Okay.
And there were 8 counts.
So you were acquitted and discharged of that charge?
Yeah, at the High Courts, they couldn't find any answer to it, so decided to move it to the magistrate court. So I stayed at the magistrate court with them on this matter for almost a year, I think, until it finalized. And then
you obviously went back to Gamtel. When did you go back?
Well, that was in 2000. Excuse me, let me just check on my notes.
That's fine.
Yes.
You can refer to your notes.
I have it here.
For records.
Then I was appointed in 2008 as Secretary of State for Information and Communication, which I declined.
You said you declined it?
I declined the appointment, but I was compelled to accept it, and I said no. Even if I report to the office, I will not serve in that capacity. And then later I was redeployed. I received a letter that I'm going to be redeployed to Gamtel as an executive chairman. So I was appointed to that position, executive chairman. And that is what the letter states here. That was 9 February 2009.
Okay. So you served in that capacity
As
until you said 17th September 2009?
9th February 2009, I was appointed. I received that letter and it is here.
Yes, and until 17th September 2009, you said that's when you left Gamtel?
Exactly.
Okay. After 2009, you did not go back to Gamtel again in any capacity?
No, I didn't go back to Gamtel.
Okay. All right. Mr. Ndao, you know, of course, the terms of reference of our commission?
Yes.
Yes. We are looking into matters relating to Gamtel in connection to the ex-president. And one of the documents that we find is a memorandum of understanding between Gambia Telecommunications Company Limited and Global Voice Group. Did you sign such a memorandum?
Yes, we signed a special memorandum with Global Voice because at the time when this memorandum...
This exhibit SC56,
yes.
You can show it to him. So, you have another copy there?
No, I don't have a copy here.
Can you show him the...
Yes, I signed this copy.
You signed it?
Exactly.
There's just one thing, a little matter I would like you to clarify. It says Gamtel represented by its managing director. From your narrative just now, you were not managing director at this time.
If I recall, let me see the date.
Unfortunately, we can't find a date on this memorandum. However, if you look at the second page, at the paragraph 3, at the bottom of that page, you have the sentence, the parties hereby agree that the services shall be activated no later than 31st October 2006. Okay, yes, you did say that you took over in 2006 as managing director.
No, I
That's
took
fine.
over in 2003.
3 up to
And
2006.
then in 2006, after I had implemented the new billing system with Global Voice, that was the time when I was terminated.
You were terminated.
Yes.
All right, that's fine. Now, Mr. Ndau, could you tell us the circumstances which led to Global Voice? And we would like you to pay particular attention to the fact that we are looking into interference from the Office of the President in GAMTEL matters and any other issues relating to GAMTEL that might have in any way affected or impeded the work you were doing from 1994. So whilst you're explaining to us the background to that document, please bear in mind those issues as well, if you have any issue to bring to our attention.
Well, actually, I think, as I have narrated on this document, GAMTEL at the time had problem with our international traffic settlement. And when I look at it, it was so critical to the operation of the institution. An institution which is endowed with financial potential and is not realizing need to be looked into. And then I decided that we have to put a new billing system in place. And this we could only do by identifying our partners in the international telecommunications sector who have got this vast experience, because GAMTEL, since its inception in 1986, it was established in 1984. It became fully operational when we had the modern network in 1986. And the type of billing system that was supplied by Alcatel Sofracom, the billing system was actually designed by Sofracom. So that billing system does not give you a segregated billing information. It's an aggregate billing information. It's sum of both the local and the international traffic. And what we needed was to see the international traffic, how much volume of traffic was coming in. We could see what is going out, but what was coming in, we couldn't ascertain. So thereby, we felt that time was up to come with a proper billing system, because the environment was becoming competitive, new entrants were coming, there was that paradigm shift, liberalization is coming up, ISPs, mobile operators, at the same time, with other operators who are not even classified as operators but illegally operating and terminating international calls. So we need to see what was coming into this country, since we are the custodian of the gateway. And the gateway is only one, and that was Abuko. The other part of the gateway was the link between Gambia and Senegal through the terrestrial network. So we had to invite Global Voice. We wrote to all these operators.
Sorry, Mr. Ndau, could you just explain that? You said there was only one gateway, which was at Abuko.
Abuko, exactly.
But you had another link.
We had a link through Senegal as a contingency measure. In the event that we have problem with our satellite link, we can divert traffic through Senegal, through Sonatel network.
Okay, that was separate from the Abuko gateway.
That was separate. That was just for overflow. And we are still using that for all the internet traffic. Most of the internet traffic was going through Dakar. I don't know now what is happening, because since I left there.
Okay. Then
before the ACE project came into play.
Okay. You can carry on.
Yes. And then because of that, we felt it is important for management to take an objective decision. And what we did was, we wrote to British Telecoms, France Telecoms, AT&T, MCI, US Print, our carriers. But we didn't have any positive response to any one of them. Simply because when we moved from the time division multiplex domain into voice over IP, we are able to have operators like Global Voice coming in. And then when they came in, we found out that our revenue offshoot from the traditional $380,000, $400,000 that we receive monthly from the total sum from the different operators abroad, it shoot to 600 and something thousand. I can't recall that figure, but it went up to 600 and something thousand US dollars. So that gave us a positive indication that these are serious operators and we can engage them. Because they are the only one that responded. And we came up with some technical proposal that they have a soft switch that can do your international billing, will do the fraud detection and give you quality assurance. Based on that, management sat down and looked at it. I am the signatory to this, but whatever was done in Gamtel, it was through a collective responsibility by management. And this always we move over to the board for them to look at it and come up with resolution. And once endorsed, we continue with our proposal and execute it to the letter. So this is how Global Voice come into play. And when they came, we find out that immediately at the implementation of the billing system, the revenue jumped to 1.5 million.
1.5 million what?
$1.5 million.
Per month?
Yes, per month.
Okay.
So I said they are serious. And we have made a provision whereby even if traffic were to drop, they still have to pay us $1 million. That was guaranteed
in the memorandum.
Well, I can't reflect whether the authors of this reflect that there, but it was a condition there.
Okay, you might be referring to purpose, where page 2, the second page, where it says to increase the monthly collection by 60% from 650 to 1 million.
Exactly, to 1 million.
Okay. All right. These were the reasons why you signed this agreement.
This was the main reason, because the fraud was...
Yes, could you explain the fraud? What do you mean by the fraud?
The fraud was outrageous because there are different players, like I said, new entrants in the market, ISPs, mobile operators. And then at the same time, there was traffic coming from the State House. Okay. And we couldn't do much about it.
Could you explain that?
Yes, because there was traffic coming from State House.
Sorry, there was a?
There was termination traffic coming from the State House.
Termination what? What did you add? Sorry?
That was international traffic coming from State House.
Okay.
Yes. And we didn't see any provision whereby such an agreement was in place. So we understood that 4 E1s were connected directly to our switch, and that was as of 2001. And 2001 to the period that Global Voice came in, traffic was always dumped into our network. And that affected our bilateral agreements at the international level, because we agree on a pricing, on a tariff. And if we say that we are selling our international call for 12 cents, it should be 12 cents. But then we find out that others were out there selling traffic at 4 cents, 3 cents, undercutting our bilateral agreement with these operators. And that was disclosed by Global Voice through their investigation. And the system detected it. So we had to block everything through that new system we installed, which was financed by Global Voice, not Gambia.
Now, in relation to the traffic that was being terminated at the State House, what sort of equipment was installed there, and who installed the equipment?
We did not participate in the installation of the equipment, nor were we privy to see the installation. But at the backyard, there is a satellite dish, and that could have been the only medium of communication where traffic would have been coming into Gambia.
What do you mean, which backyard?
At the State House.
State House grounds?
That State House ground.
There was a satellite?
There was a satellite.
So at your own end,
Yes.
you know, which may be the back end or front end, what you mentioned something that you saw. Is it four switches you said?
No, we have 4 E1s. That is a total of 120 channels.
That were connected?
Yes, that's what it means.
You know, we are not telecommunications experts.
That's why I'm saying that it's
so you need to explain it so that we all understand.
That's why I'm saying that it's 120 channels. 4 E1s. E1 is 30 channels.
Okay.
Yes. So, and on that route, it was only one-way communication, calls coming in to the switch. We cannot originate traffic from our switch going through that satellite. So all calls were coming through there and dumped into our switch, and we are not accounted for.
So, in other words, no money was collected for that call as far as Gamtel, on the part of Gamtel.
Because we are not a signatory to any agreement as such. So we wouldn't know if the money was collected and who collected the money. But we know that there was traffic coming, and it was affecting our bilateral arrangements, that we are selling at an agreed tariff of 12 cents and others are selling at 4 cents. So internationally, which means to say it was depleting our revenue. And when Global Voice came in, they captured that and isolated all those connections, because the switch will not allow it, because the main switch was routed through the Global Voice system. And anything that was going to affect their investment, they had to kick it out.
Now, just before I come to that, just on that point, did you ever at Gamtel try to capture or estimate the revenue that might have been generated by this abnormal or irregular connection?
No, that we couldn't, because as I told you in the earlier presentation,
but
the switch we had, yes, and the billing system we had, which was installed by Sofracom, yeah, that does aggregate billing.
Did you try to at least analyze the amount of revenue the loss of revenue during that period from 2001 to when Global Voice actually came in? An estimate of the loss of revenue that Gamtel suffered?
Well, maybe from a mathematical point of view, one have to look at the variation from the 600,000 and then relate it to whatever we were collecting and see the differential.
You never did that exercise?
No, it was
that's fine.
It was only when Global Voice came in and we saw this $650,000 US that month. So as opposed to, so you are talking about what? $200,000 difference. So you can multiply that with the total number of months.
Mr. Now,
Yes,
shall
sir.
we interrupt? The management of the gateway,
Yes.
you're bringing in Global Voice. Was it a matter of competitiveness and as such a survival technique? When you say you discovered those signals going to the office of the president, can you tell us exactly what Global Voice does to you apart from increasing your revenue? Is it also able to detect the signals that are not connected to your main system and stop it?
Yeah.
Is that a value add they bring? Just tell us, in terms of competitiveness, the advantage of having Global Voice as a partner.
That was one of the advantage because, like I said earlier, we could not detect all the fraud that was coming into the country. New entrants emerged, ISPs, mobile operators, and calls were terminated, SIM box were located here and there, and we couldn't trace. But with the assistance of Global Voice, having that new billing system, which does fraud detection, real-time billing information, each director there at the time when this system was put in place could sum up the total number of traffic coming from the international route to the Gambia, and you know how much volume of traffic has been pumped in, and that gives you the total number of dollars it equals to. Straight away, we have never had anything of that nature, and I think we are the first to have that. So when they had this fraud detection system, it eliminated all those things, because anything that they did not put as a carrier link through them, they don't have to deal with that.
Okay. So you had increase in revenue, monitoring,
quality,
and detection.
Yes, exactly.
Now, did you ever make any formal notification to the office of the president that you have come to notice some suspicious connections that were sort of diverting your revenue? Was there anything on paper or even informally telling them that these are not part of our network and we are noticing some traffic termination? Was there any such discussion, either on paper or informally?
We have never written to. And I think under those circumstances, you will agree with me that nobody dare write to the president by telling him that we see illegal termination coming into this place, because nobody dare go into the state house to put a satellite dish there, do all his connection, and say that let me terminate traffic without the knowledge of the president. So since he is the chief executive and they are the majority stakeholder, which is government, and he is the executive.
We get the point. It would have been unwise.
It would have been unwise.
But you comforted yourself that there was no Gamtel staff involved in this installation.
Not at all. Not at all. They were involved in the sense that a requirement was made, a request was made, go and do a termination, and then they did a termination.
So
Period.
there was some participation from Gamtel technicians.
Yeah, they have to. They were obliged to.
They were ordered to.
They were ordered to do it, so they did the connection. Only do your 4E1 connection, and that's all we ask from you. Period.
Excellent. Now, the other point, with Global Voice, were you able to stop that termination?
That is exactly what the system did. It blocked everything.
So you had a subtle way of telling them you are defrauding Gamtel, and we have stopped it.
Well, we see the illegal thing that we had no hand on, but someone else came up with a device that could do it without even querying the guy.
Good. And based on the records of the traffic and the monitoring, would you be able to go back to quantify the potential loss you might have incurred from the termination, or would that be too much?
No, like I told you, this is simple arithmetic.
It's possible.
Our collection is used to be 380 to 400,000.
And now
Global Voice came in, and the final revenue we received for that particular amount is 650,000 US dollars.
You do a
so
subtraction.
Why don't take the differential and then do your calculation backward?
Okay, so it is possible.
It is possible.
And there was a year mentioned as far back as 1998. Based on your records, it looks like you had 2001. Does the 1998 tally with your estimated projection?
No,
when do you think this thing started?
No, that was around 2001, definitely.
2001?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
I was then Director Technical Cooperation.
It started from 2001,
yes.
And when did it stop?
When Global Voice came into play, 2006.
Okay, so there was a 5-year gap.
Exactly.
Of money going away from Gamtel coffers. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Ndau, you did mention that there were terminations, which suggests that there were other terminations apart from the Office of the President, State House. At that time, did you capture who else was involved in termination of traffic other than the State House?
Well, at one time there was one Mr. Hakim. He said he was going to operate a platform. Okay. That is a calling card platform. Okay. And he applied and he asked for about 4 E1s. We said this is too much for a calling card platform, because we have Samayai is operating on that, and we're not using all that number of.
So you were actually allocating.
So we allocated this guy that bandwidth, and then when he started operating, he said it was just to sell calling cards. You use it and then call locally. And finally, what we saw was traffic coming in.
International traffic.
For international traffic dumped into our E1s going into his network. Okay. Through his satellite into our network. And then he used the caller ID of Global Voice 124. And then when my guys observed this, I said, don't make any query. Let's just leave him to operate.
Okay.
When we are ready, we will bring him to book. You just observe, make your traffic observation. And they did their traffic observation.
Okay.
When it was time for us to charge him monthly, we computed all the volume of traffic that was coming in and asked him to pay.
Oh. All right. Now
yes. And there, we caught him by changing the caller ID to 308. And he still remained using the Global Voice caller ID 124 until the day that he was supposed to settle his payment, only to find himself in that situation.
Okay. I asked this question because would you be able to approximate the traffic that went through the State House? Is there a way that we can approximate it, having regard to the fact that it was not only State House that was doing this call termination?
No, we cannot say that the State House operation was 100% operational, because it all depends on the volume of traffic that is generated by those operators out there using that gateway.
Yes.
Because they were more or less operating like in a teleport, of which is a very poor quality in most cases.
Yes.
That was why in those days, at times you would listen to a call and then with a lot of noise, it's so low. And just simply because the porous networks we are used, we are not coming through the actual gate.
I understand, Mr.
Yes.
You know, for responsibility to be allocated, one needs to be able to approximate the amount of calls that were terminated at State House. From your own technical experience, can we do that, and how do we set about doing that?
Well, now, you asked one pertinent question. Can we quantify this thing? If we are to quantify it, we're not going to only say that it was the State House that was doing that. Like I was just trying to explain to you, that there was somebody who applied for it, but we caught him and straight away removed him out of the system. There were others that we are caught, also taken to the police, they jumped bail and then disappeared. So those type of operators who were never licensed to operate were doing their bits in the country before the coming of Global Voice. And it was when Global Voice came in, all those things stopped. So we wouldn't know who and who, because others were also pumping in. So it was not be only the State House that was responsible for that variation. But one would say that they had 4 E1s, and we had that 4 E1 correspond to 120 simultaneous telephone calls, which you can do on those 4 E1s.
All right. We'll come back on this. Maybe ask for your assistance in.
Yeah, but on that point,
in quantifying.
Council.
Yes.
On that point, it is particularly bad for the State House to set that precedent. Honestly, it's unbecoming of any head of state to sponsor that type of activity in your backyard. So while we cannot assign the full blame, the greatest portion has to be assigned to them, and to the best of your technical ability to quantify the loss and assign it to the State House for the period under question. It is simply unacceptable sending people, and we are aware that agents were sent to detect people, raid people's houses, to stop determination when it is happening in the backyard of the head of state. It's just unacceptable. We accept your point, it wasn't just them, but to actually be the bad example, you lead by example, and in this case, it's just not something we condone. So shall we do our best to quantify how much?
Well, like I told you, the revenue stream, the benchmark was 380 to 400,000 US dollars. Now, with the coming of Global Voice, the first month for them, without even installing the billing system, their traffic termination to sum up, we were able to collect 650,000 US dollars. So if you subtract, take the high end 400,000 or take the lower end 380,000 from the 650,000, the differential is there. And now you compute that for the period, that is the total number of years, days, and months, and the answer will be there.
Okay, Mr. Ndau, thank you for that. As I said,
Sorry, I want to ask, but I believe you said here that it wasn't only the State House at the time that was defrauding the system. You said there were others. So I want to know, is the amount of loss caused by the State House quantifiable or not?
Well, like I said, it is quantifiable in a sense that if you have to take it...
No, it's all right. It's all right. Can you provide a formula then?
The simple formula that I can give is, if I have to put on average, shall I say on average?
Yeah.
Because it's just like my phone. I may not use it throughout the whole day.
Yeah, in fact, hold it. I don't want you to provide the formula here at once. I'm just asking whether that can be done so that we may find means of asking you or others to help out. That's the reason for the question.
One difficult thing about it is that their system never had caller ID in the first instance. Because if you are an operator and you are terminating with me, if I give you a caller ID of 123, all calls coming in, when I read it from my CDR, the call data recording, I'll know that this is coming from you. And if I give him a caller ID of 156, I can relate that to the total number of traffic he is sending over through my system. Whereas the others do not have caller IDs. They were all suppressed, because what happened is that you get 30 lines and then you have a special box and then you connect it there. The traffic come in. Those lines are designated numbers which are local numbers. So what you will see is local calls coming within the Gambia, when in actual fact they are international calls coming in. But then what you read on your billing system is number 22456 from the Gambia calling X. So with that, it will be very difficult to go back in that area and assess it. But what I can say is that 4 E1s, if you have a 4 E1s, let's say we are operating at peak traffic maximum. That means to say that 4 E1s, you can generate 120 simultaneous calls in a minute. And now, depending on the occupancy of that circuit, then you will be able to quantify the total number of revenue that has been coming. And that is a history we do not have. So one would say, what do I have to interpolate in between to get the right answer?
All right. Do you think a company like Global Voice can help in bringing about a solution?
At this present moment, all information that you could have got from Global Voice is traffic that was coming in through their gate, because they controlled the gateway. Nobody was coming in, and all switches were barricaded. So your caller IDs, they'll detect it, they see it, the system would notice that, and it was linked to all these mobile operators. So there was no way that such a thing could happen. And it was linked to the local network as well. So there they could quantify the total number of traffic coming in. But with Global Voice at this stage, I don't think really they are in a position to help with that, whether the CDRs are still there or not. But they definitely had their CDRs installed here. And we were seeing everything that was going on.
Where I see your answer is that the total loss is quantifiable, but what is attributable to State House is virtually impossible to detect. Is that what you are saying?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Mr. Ndao, are you also saying that to the extent that they had 4 E1s, one can give at least some approximate indication of loss to Gamtel during this period caused by State House?
Well, certainly. I mean, anybody who bypass our international gateway, you are affecting our revenue collection. And then particularly when they trace, make calls, and that was what they were doing, Global Voice. They go around, see those people that are selling traffic to the Gambia and are not going through them. They get their calling card and use that to call, and then they observe that from their system.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
We maybe have overflogged this issue for now. We'll have an opportunity again, maybe to consider it more exhaustively. I'll just take you back to the agreement that you signed with Global Voice. Mr. Ndau, why was it necessary to make them international traffic manager? Why couldn't they just have been engaged to provide the technical support that would enable GAMTEL manage the traffic itself?
Well, Global Voice, we are key players. And they are also traffic terminators. And their global presence was reaching out. So their presence in Asia, in Arabia, worldwide was prominent. And as a result, they were helping also in the collecting of traffic and sending them over to the Gambia, where we have been facing difficulties receiving calls. So they facilitated that. And that was the main reason why we went into that agreement.
I understand, but was it an option that instead of making them managers, that you actually just bought their technology and they helped you build capacity within GAMTEL to manage the gateway?
Well, that could have been an option, a desired option, but at the same time, like I said, as an operator and a player, I think for us we felt that there was a better relationship to get them to be fully involved, because they come up with investment and everything which was open to GAMTEL management.
What sort of investment?
Initially, they gave us even $3 million when we wanted to do our investment in the network, and also for our other projects. We had $3 million.
Okay. Now, I ask this question because this was the first gateway manager.
Yes.
And subsequently, GAMTEL followed the same trend, or government followed the same trend of engaging the services of gateway managers. Do you ever consider that it might have been better, another way might have been better and might have avoided all these, really, all the issues that have arisen in relation to the international gateway being partly privatized?
No, I don't think it was really privatized. I think that was a consensus by management, and it was management's decision at the time when the industry was becoming more and more hostile, and then we ran out of control. So claiming one to come in, they will not even take that responsibility to go further the last mile to tell you that there is someone terminating call in Batakunku. There is someone terminating call in Gunju. And this they used to do with our technical quality staff. And they will go straight to the premise of the person doing that illegal termination, and then address the issue with the police. So I don't think any order would have come in, because we have written, as I said earlier in my submission, we wrote to AT&T, US Sprint, MCI, British Telecom, France Telecom, who are our major carriers, but no response. Why? I don't know. Is it that they just wanted to continue to under-declare their traffic to us, or what? Because that was our responsibility. It was not the responsibility of the distant call terminator, because he has his tool, he has equipment, everything in place. For us, we had a system that could not detect all that we wanted to know instantly. And these were the only operator that have it, and we are prepared to work with us. And then, in a transparent manner, make sure that all equipment installation are under our eyes. And that is what happened. They installed everything at Abuko, train our staff. They run that system, analyze the data, analyze the traffic.
Okay. What was the duration of the agreement that you had?
With Global Voice?
Yes.
I didn't live to witness that.
No, how long was it intended to last?
Well, the idea was they have to do this operation, train our staff. I think we talk about something like within 1 year, 2 years or what, so they hand over to the staff. Because they train some of the staff in Spain, all of them. And they were responsible for that training package. And they were ready to entrust that, but then give them a supervision at a distance.
So the intention was not to have a manager for the international gateway, as has happened?
No, the idea was we went into this contract, this agreement, so they help us build the system, which they financed, pre-financed, did everything, train our staff, and we see this revenue offshoot, and then we agree that after the training of our staff, we will take over, and then they will just operate as any normal operator.
Okay. Now, Mr. Ndao, as you are aware, Gamtel shares were then sold. 50% of Gamtel and Gamcel were sold to Spectrum.
I'm sorry, Honorable Counsel, I was not there at the time.
Yes. But you came back as...
When I came back as executive chairman, according to my letter of appointment, I was told that you are appointed as executive chairman responsible for technical matters. The managing director is responsible for financial operation and strategic planning.
Who was the managing director when you were appointed as executive chairman?
That was Katim Toure.
Okay. The contract with Spectrum had already been terminated when you came back as executive chairman?
Exactly.
There is a document which I'll show you now, which seems to bear your signature, dated it's actually undated, but it's referring to, you signed as executive chairman, addressed to Managing Director, Trust Bank Gambia Limited, when requesting for the loan facility of $5 million in relation to, it seems, in relation to a board resolution that we have, and it's connected, it seems, to the termination of Spectrum and the reacquisition of their shares. Could you take a look at it? There are some attachments which you can take a look at. I'm sorry we didn't have that document when you were being interviewed by the investigators. Mr. Ndao, do you need time to...
Well...
or do you recollect the circumstances?
That was July 2009, in July, August. Yes, I could.
Yes, you recollect the circumstances, or yes, you would require time, Mr. Ndao?
I definitely
sorry, Councillor.
I require time to go through this.
Hold it. You'll have time soon because we are rising.
Okay.
And we'll be back in 15 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm really ill, so they feeling it. I got the chill, man, I'm killing it. I know the deal, cause I'm dealing it.